Welcome back, folks. It's the David Knight Show here on Infowars.com and Band.video. We have a couple more callers still hanging on the line. Jefferson in Virginia, Greg in California, and TJ in Kentucky. Worry not, we will come to you very shortly. First, I wanted to talk about a little issue I have with American foreign policy. From MondoWise.net, the headline is U.S. in Middle East, quote, to protect Israel, not for oil, Trump says. Here's the quote from Trump during his rally in Winston-Salem on September 8th. He said, quote, the fact is we don't have to be in the Middle East other than we want to protect Israel. We've been very good to Israel. Other than that, we don't have to be in the Middle East. And that's kind of a shocking admission from a U.S. president. Of course, you sort of know this if you pay attention. There's nothing for us in the Middle East. There's nothing we gain. Of course, we've spent untold trillions of dollars in the Middle East. We've wasted God knows how many tens of thousands of American lives and fortunes in the Middle East. And what has the benefit to America been? Pretty much nothing, pretty much negligible, if not negative, if not served to destroy our reputation in the world, as well as ignite the refugee crisis that flooded Europe with Middle Easterners. And why are we there? We are there to protect Israel. Now, fellas, maybe the crew can tell me this. Do we live in Israel? Does anybody know? Is that where we live? He doesn't think so. I don't think so either. I think last time I checked, this is America. And I'm pretty sure we are supposed to have a military to protect our interests. We're supposed to, if we have to, in the most extreme circumstances, put our soldiers on the field to protect ourselves. That has not been what's been going on. It's been quite the opposite, in fact. And here is really the reason I bring this up, is because Jim Jordan tweets out, obviously in support of President Trump. He's saying, look, President Trump has been very effective in foreign policy. And he lists out some of the incredible foreign policy wins that President Trump has been able to achieve. Here they are. We got out of the Iran deal. We moved the embassy to Jerusalem. ISIS defeated. Hostages home. I assume that means from Iran, maybe from North Korea, but I assume that's from Quran. The USMCA, he lists as another foreign policy win. The Israel/UAE agreement, policy win. Serbia/Kosovo agreement. And Israel and Bahrain agreement. Now, out of these, I think the USMCA is the only one that is actually beneficial to America. Getting out of the Iran deal was, of course, on behalf of Israel. Embassy in Jerusalem, obviously, has to do with Israel. ISIS being defeated, again, why are we in the Middle East? According to President Trump, it's to protect Israel. Of course, when you look into it, you see statements from Israeli ministers saying we prefer ISIS to Assad, and seemingly the only reason ISIS exists in the Middle East is because it was funded by us and Israel intelligence agencies, creating so-called moderate resistance to the Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria to kick them out. So that's Israel. Hostages home. Again, I assume they mean from Iran. He doesn't specify which hostages exactly. Israel-UAE agreement. That's Israel. The Serbia-Kosovo agreement doesn't seem to have much to do with Israel, except that moving their embassy to Jerusalem was a major aspect of that agreement, and probably the only reason it actually went through. And then the Israel-Bahrain agreement. So, of course, I respond to Jim Jordan saying, I thought you were talking about American foreign policy. And I retweeted it as well, saying it's not anti-Semitic to notice that pretty much our entire foreign policy is beneficial to a foreign country. It's a foreign country. I don't care what religion they are. I don't care what ethnicity they are. The fact is, American foreign policy, every one of our victories, aside from the USMCA, has been directly related to and for the benefit of a foreign nation. Okay, can we wrap our heads around this? Is there any other country in the world that has this kind of setup with another foreign nation? And I got to make sure about this. We are not Israeli. We are not in Israel right now. This is America. Okay. All right. And it's the American foreign policy that we're talking about. Okay. All right. Great. Great. Okay, but pointing this out is probably anti-Semitic. Pointing this out probably means I hate all Jews, right? That's what that means when I point out that our foreign policy in America, our soldiers dying in deserts halfway around the world, is all in benefit of a country that, once again, is not us, is not America, not our friends, not our people. It's other people. It's another country across the world in the Middle East. They're the ones that our foreign policy has benefited routinely over the last 4 years. How many problems do we have with foreign policy? How many issues do we have with Mexicans coming over by the tens of millions? With just all sorts of stuff, all sorts of problems all over the place. None of those problems get solved, but we do have a lengthy list of issues that we have solved for a foreign country. That is Israel. So there you go. I also wanted to bring up this. This is, when you look around and you see the immigration system here, the immigration establishment here, the fact that we have God knows how many 30 million illegal immigrants, who knows how many tens of millions of legal immigrants just flooding over constantly, nonstop, endless, right? And we're told this is our responsibility to give these people places to live and health care and a vote and food, and just that's our responsibility and we have to do it. You can't question it or you're a horrible racist bigot, right? And you start to think about it and you go, why? Why are we expected to take in all these immigrants? Why is it that it's only America or only Western countries that are expected to open their doors and let the immigrants flood in? So I started thinking about this and I thought, well, is it just us? Is it just, what's the immigration outlook like in other countries? And let's take another major, massive country. Let's take communist China, right? We've got 300 million people and like a tenth of them are illegal immigrants. And then there's just more pouring over every day. Just more, hundreds of thousands just crossing. They're given lawyers. There's NGOs there to bring them in, to shame us for not wanting them. What does the China immigration system look like? And it's shocking, I'll tell you that. Here's from the Wikipedia article titled Immigration to China. What does immigration to China look like? Quote, in the late 1970s, roughly 300,000 ethnic Chinese immigrated from Vietnam to China. Immigration has increased modestly since the beginning. So that's it. That is immigration in China. 300 Chinese people go back to China, and that's it. That is the history of immigration. So we bring in tens of thousands, if not like a million every single year. In 2016, China issued 1,500 permanent residency cards.